Good morning, everybody. I am coming to you from a foggy car park outside a hotel somewhere in the middle of France. And I'll be finally getting back to England today and back at my desk for tomorrow morning's show. Welcome to you. Good morning. I hope you're well this morning. And welcome to you whether you are watching on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or on Twitter, because we're live streaming on all of those channels. I'd love to know whereabouts you're watching from. If you haven't said hello before, please do say hello. Excuse me. I haven't been able to get hold of a coffee before this call, so I'm feeling a bit crusty in the head, if you know what I mean. But I would like to crack on straight away with today's news. There's no major new news today. It's mostly reaction to things. I think the first thing worth mentioning is Shelter, the homelessness charity, put out that awful video yesterday, which was just a shocking, unfair tarring of all letting agents with the same brush as the bad agents. And I was delighted to see that Nathan Emerson, who is the chief executive of Propertymark, has come out this morning in the news with a very, very strongly worded response and pushback and criticism of Shelter on that. In particular, criticizing the fact that actually Shelter and Propertymark share the same end goals, but Shelter's approach to it is destructive and counterproductive, especially on the renter sector. So well done to Nathan for that. I agree with him on his reaction on that. There's also been a reaction to the chief executive of Rightmove stepping down, Peter Brooks-Johnson, and Russell Quirk has done a very funny and very interesting article on that on Property Industry Eye this morning, which is called "Will Rightmove Now Fork Off?" Good old Rusty with his provocative language, but I agree with it. I agree with what he says in that article on Property Industry Eye. I'd actually go further than what he said. He is predicting that they won't be breaking a new direction here, which is what they need to do to save the future. They'll carry on as they are, and that will be the beginning of the end for them. Well, not the beginning of the end, but for the beginning of the gradual loss of their market dominance. I think I agree with them on that. But the story I did, it's still also on the Rightmove story. This is important because it speaks to the control of the property industry, who really controls it. And this story about the Rightmove boss resigning on Estate Agent Today this morning has focused on the fact that Peter Brooks-Johnson thinks that he has a fantastic relationship with agents. And he specifically said, in response to, this isn't from an article in the Times, when they asked whether or not Rightmove had a chokehold on the industry due to its dominance in the portal market and the fees charged to agents, Brooks-Johnson said in response, "It's just language I don't recognise," and added that he had some really fantastic relationships with the company's customers. Right. I can imagine a lot of agents being very irritated by this. And I don't doubt that Peter Brooks-Johnson is being honest when he says that, because he operates in a very comfortable bubble where he only gets to directly interact with, in person, the major estate agencies who are major customers of Rightmove, who get major discounts and don't pay nearly as much as small agents do. And so they're going to be very happy with him, I'm sure. The volume agents where Rightmove, even if they were being charged full price, would make good value for money for them. But his denial about the chokehold on the industry is just staggering, because what I want to point out is I think that Peter Brooks-Johnson does think that he doesn't understand that criticism, and does think that all agents think that they're great, and probably thinks it's only a minority of agents that are frustrated about Rightmove's chokehold on the industry. The problem is this, and I alluded to this a couple of days ago. If you are a major controlling dominant player in an industry and you take a lot of money out of that industry, and in Rightmove's case it was £300 million last year, and you're making a difference in return and delivering something to your customers that they couldn't get without you, then fine. That's what the free market economy and capitalism is all about. But if you have just, through sheer brute force and good long-term management of their business, of course, there's no doubting that, have created a position for yourself where you're unassailable, you can charge what you like, but if you didn't exist, nothing would change, then you've got to ask yourself, what are we taking this money for? What are we giving in return? It's actually holding the industry hostage to an extent. And the customers he refers to with whom he has a great relationship is a small number of very large estate agencies. And that small number of very large estate agencies actually counts for about 50% of market share of properties for sale. All right. So this is where it comes in. If you think only 10% of agents, and the best agent data we've got, which I'm going to start to release soon, only 10% of agents have 50% of the market. That means that the other 90% of agents are also fighting over 50% of the market. So the top 10% are getting a very large proportion of the market themselves, and 90% of the rest are fighting over very small numbers of instructions. And this doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help the movers. It certainly doesn't help 90% of agents. And you've got this small number of companies, Rightmove cozying up with its very large corporate estate agent customers, and of course the other portals as well. Zoopla and Rightmove both, I mean, Zoopla is owned entirely by American private equity company now, but Rightmove is effectively controlled by American hedge funds who don't care about the well-being of small English estate agents or movers. And OTM is again, I mean, 60% of OTM is owned by agents, and I think that does make a difference, and that's good. Unfortunately, OTM just doesn't get the traction to get as many leads as the others. But it is this unbalanced chokehold on the industry, the power structure, the control of the industry from a very small number of companies, which is exactly what I am aiming to deconstruct, to disassemble, if you like, with BestAgent and the way BestAgent operates, because BestAgent does not allow any corporate company to have a corporate account or a corporate advantage of any kind. In fact, we had one very interesting conversation with a large corporate agency that contacted BestAgent and said, great, we really want to make sure we're getting on board with being ready to get the vendor leads that are coming from you. Now, what do we do about getting our corporate discount? And we said, we don't do one. And they said, what do you mean? What about a volume discount? We said, no, we don't do one. All agents pay the same for all leads, no matter how big or small you are. Each lead is worth the same. And that's the only fair way to go about it. And they were completely stumped. They said, well, that doesn't work for us. We said, well, fine, then you don't have to worry about the leads because there are 19 other agents that will get every lead that we send you. He went very quiet. And there is this two-tier industry. And my major problem with that is how much it leads to a poor experience for movers, and secondarily, how much it creates an unfairly difficult job for the smaller estate agents. And that's what I'm hoping to change. If you're interested in what BestAgent is doing, I'm going to talk more about that. I know I've ended up talking about myself and my company today, but it is relevant because Rightmove, whilst not doing anything wrong technically or legally, is not helping and is standing in the way of progress of the industry. And that's something I think we would all like to change. Guys, I've rambled on again. It's approaching 10 minutes. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to wish you a very happy Wednesday. I didn't get to a tip of the day other than to be aware of who controls your industry, right? Just please be aware of who controls the industry. It's a very small number of very large companies. And if you want to help me change that, any support for BestAgent would be greatly appreciated. Have a fantastic day. I will talk to you again tomorrow morning back from my desk in England, down in Devon, which I think is a bit wet and rainy today. But otherwise, have a fantastic day. Please give me any feedback or thoughts, and I will talk to you tomorrow. I'm off to get myself my first coffee of the day. Terribly dry mouth. Need a coffee. Bye, guys. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.